What's up, everybody? Matt Moda here to give you 3 NFL Week 2 bets that I have already locked in. So one thing that I love to do for the NFL season is wake up Monday morning, do some line shopping, think about teams that I want to fade or teams that I want to back heading into the following week, find some bangers. That's exactly what I did for this video. Again, I found 3 early bets for you guys to lock in to do a recap from week 1. Now, this is heading into Monday Night Football. So I do have one outstanding player prop, but heading into the week and heading into Monday Night Football and into week 2, it's been a really, really good week 1. I definitely cannot complain about how good week 1 has gone. Underdogs, I went 1-1. I had the Packers. They did not win. I had the Cowboys. They did win. Very, very slight profit of plus 0.05 units, but that's the beauty of betting plus money. You win half your bets, you're making money. Early bets, I had 3 of them. Those went 2-1. I had the Chiefs minus 2.5, easy money. Not actually. I had the Patriots plus 9.5. That was easy money. I should have taken them to win straight up. And I had the Rams plus 3.5, which was a little bit of a brutal beat because they had the lead. Then they gave up a field goal at the end of regulation and then lost the game on a touchdown in overtime. So that bet lost. But 2-1 on these early NFL bets against the spread. Up 0.9 units. And then player props have been the best by far. Now I play player props the heaviest, so that makes sense. But anyways, I don't want to spend too much on last week because it doesn't help anybody. Just showing you how the results have been. Before I do get into the 3 bangers that I have, I would appreciate it if you are not already, if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Just hit 13K, which I appreciate all of you guys for. And then for this specific video, if you could comment, I would appreciate that as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is that I do have a dub club where I send all my plays out. $5 a month. It gets you everything that I am betting. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Link is in the description of the video. If you're not interested in that, no problem. Let's get into the bangers. Play number 1. I am going right back to the Patriots. I am taking them plus 3.5. You can get that at minus 110 odds at BetMGM. I was on the Patriots in week 1, as I just mentioned. Not only did they win that game, not only did they cover, but they also won outright as the biggest underdog of the week. So they were literally the biggest underdog of the week, and they won outright. I'm not going to pretend that they looked incredible, that they looked like they were possible Super Bowl threats. Of course not. But even despite that, I am still going to be on them once again in week 2. Now, this is kind of half me wanting to back the Patriots, also me wanting to fade Seattle as well. They did manage to get the win last week against the Broncos. Last week, literally yesterday, because I'm recording this on Monday. That was one of the more pathetic offensive performances you'll ever see from an offense. Bo Nix, they managed to lose that game despite recording 2 safeties from Seattle. Seattle literally had 2 safeties, and they still won. Now, Seattle, the one thing that they did well on offense was they were able to run the ball, 103 rushing yards from Kenneth Walker. They did admittedly look good running the ball. Their offensive line was a mess that entire game. They had so many offensive line lapses that I was shocked to look up and see that Kenneth Walker ended the game with over 100 yards rushing. Now, they were able to keep with it the entire game because the Broncos just kept putting their defense in horrible situations, but don't let it be mistaken. The Seahawks offensive line was a mess that entire game. That is what led to the 2 safeties, was the fact that their offensive line was a mess. They're lucky that the Broncos were an even bigger mess, which is why Seattle was able to win. Bo Nix was terrible. Just absolutely brutal. He somehow managed to attempt 42 passes and only throw for 138 yards. That is remarkable. That yards per attempt is terrible. 26 of 42 overall. 138 yards and 2 interceptions. An abomination. One of the interceptions that he had was one of the worst interceptions you'll ever see. I mean, okay, not as bad as Will Levis, fair, but just had 0 chance from the moment he threw the ball, threw it in the triple coverage, was very easily intercepted. There was a replay of someone calling the game who said, "Oh no," as the ball was leaving his hand. He knew that it was going to be bad. So yeah, the Seahawks managed to score 26 points. Geno Smith only had 171 yards of passing. Now, he made some incredible throws, and he also had a nice rushing touchdown. But it was not an offensive performance that was that inspiring. Again, the only thing they're really able to do was have success on the ground, and even that looked like a mess for most of the day. So a lot of, the Seahawks won by 6. Their defense looked really good. A lot of that was, I think, of how bad the Broncos were. I'm not necessarily sure that they're a team that I want to back moving forward. And on the other side, the Patriots defense, which is what I always believed in all offseason. The reason why I was on the Patriots week 1 was not because their offense, was because I thought they were going to legitimately have an awesome defense. So far, so good. They limited Joe Burrow to only 164 passing yards. Now, I know that T. Higgins didn't play. I know that Jamar Chase was limited. Still, Joe Burrow, they limited him to 164 passing yards, only 224 yards of total offense. So very, very good. And offense was down across the league. If you look through all the game logs of all the offenses across the league, a lot of putrid performances. But the Patriots were responsible for one of them. I'm not going to pretend that their offense was that impressive, but I do think that they're going to be able to do enough on offense. Like, they're not going to beat themselves offensively the same way that Bo Nix and the Broncos did. At least you know with Jacoby Brissett, he's not going to have back-breaking turnovers, interceptions, stuff like that. And like I said, I always thought their defense was going to be solid. So I think that this is going to end up being a field goal game. I would not be shocked if the Patriots won outright. I would put them as definitely an underdog, upset alert team. I'm just rocking with the plus 3.5. That's play number 1. Next up, play number 2. I'm taking the Steelers minus 2.5, minus 115 odds at FanDuel. So did I mention how bad the Broncos were last week? That is exactly who we are fading this week. I am taking the Steelers against the Broncos to win by more than a field goal. To be honest, as I mentioned, this is really just a fade of Bo Nix. This is not me necessarily saying that I think the Steelers offense is going to be able to do a ton. They're going to be able to move the ball. Not necessarily that. The Steelers offense did not score a single offensive touchdown last week. Now, they won the game by 8 points. They won 18-10. All 18 of their points came off of 6 field goals, but their defense was awesome. They forced 2 interceptions from Kirk Cousins. They recovered another fumble. Now, that fumble, if you're just going to look at the stat sheet, it shows as a fumble recovery. That was the Falcons. They literally messed up the snap, so it wasn't like the Steelers did much. But even if you take that out, still the 2 interceptions, only allowed 226 yards of total offense. Kirk threw for 155 yards, another just disgustingly putrid performance. And they're probably the Steelers, like they held Kirk to 155. They're going to have a much, much easier matchup against this rookie quarterback for the Broncos and Bo Nix, who, as I just detailed, was absolutely horrendous last week. And the Steelers defense projected to be much better than the Seattle defense. Now, Seattle, new defensive head coach Mike McDonald, so maybe their defense is just going to be one of those defenses that's the entire year better than we thought. But on paper, this Steelers defense should be much better than the Seattle defense. They have 2 elite edge rushers in Alex Highsmith, and they have obviously TJ Watt. Good secondary play as well. And again, this is really just fading Bo Nix. Like, I wouldn't take Bo Nix to do well against any defense really after how he looked last week. And not necessarily, again, not me backing the Steelers offense by any means. The offense was not that great for the Steelers. Again, not a single offensive touchdown is not great. Justin Fields passed for 156 yards, which, hey, more than Kirk Cousins. But as a team, the Steelers did rush for 137 yards, not efficiently. Najee Harris had a very inefficient 20 carries for 70 yards. Justin Fields added 14 carries for 47 yards. But I think that the Steelers offense is going to be able to do enough to score. Well, I think their defense should hold the Broncos to like 14 or fewer points. Well, I think the offense could put up at least like the 17 to 20 mark. Hey, it's another 6 field goals. That's still fine. I think 6 field goals would be enough to cover against this Broncos team. And then the last pick of this video, give me the Texans minus 6.5. I was able to get this at minus 105 odds at FanDuel. Now, the Bears, that's who the Texans play, were a team that I knew immediately I wanted to fade heading into week 2. Now, I thought that they were going to get a little bit more respect from the books. I thought that the Texans would not be 6.5 point favorites. I don't care. I'm still on the Texans. I would not be shocked if they won this game by 14 or more points. I'll gladly take a touchdown. So the Bears, people are going to see Caleb Williams 1-0. Caleb Williams, rookie number 1 overall pick, projected to be just an incredible player, and they won their first game. The Bears did not score a single offensive touchdown in week 1. You can make an argument of all the grotesque, putrid, pathetic, however you want to describe it, performances from the offenses in week 1. You can make the argument that the Bears had the worst offensive performance of any team of week 1, that they were the worst, at least heading into Monday Night Football. We'll see. Aaron Rodgers tears another Achilles. Maybe that ends up being the Jets. But Caleb Williams threw for 89 yards. He was 14 of 29 in terms of passing and his completion rate. And they only rushed as a team for 84 yards on 22 carries. That's 3.8 yards per carry. 14 of those 84 yards came off of a wide receiver rush to DJ Moore. That's despicably bad. It's remarkable that they won the game. They did not even record 150 yards of total offense as a team. Pathetic. Joe Mixon had more rushing yards himself than the Bears had total yards in that game. Now, how were they able to win? Look at the team they played, the Titans. Strip sack, blocked punt, return for a touchdown, pick six. That is how the Bears were able to win that game. That's Will Levis. I was down on the Titans all year. I was down on Will Levis. I thought he stinks. He stunk in week 1. Unfortunately for the Bears, their week 2 opponent are not going to be nearly as forgiving as Will Levis and the Titans. The Bears are not going to be so lucky. They're playing the Texans, who were my Super Bowl pick heading into the year. It was not the best offensive performance of the year. They still managed to score 29 points. CJ Stroud, not going to wow you with his numbers, but had some pretty big time throws. Nico Collins had some awesome plays. Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, ton of offensive weapons. And the best player for the Texans was Joe Mixon, who, as I mentioned, had more rushing yards than the Bears had total yards. He rushed for 159 yards off of 30 carries, and he had 1 touchdown. Now, the Bears defense is better than the Colts, but the offense, it's just night and day. Going from Caleb Williams, who was terrible in week 1, who is projected to probably start slow, compare that to Anthony Richardson, who is like play to play, very inconsistent, but just able to make some absurd plays. And it's just an electric player overall. Caleb Williams might get there in his career. Did not look like that in week 1. I do not think it'll look like that in week 2. Again, I would not be shocked if the Texans managed to win this game by 14 or more points. I'll gladly take a touchdown. And that's all we got. 3 early NFL bangers for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. As the week goes on, you're going to get live streams before every primetime game and before every game on Sunday. You're going to get player props for Thursday, Sunday, and Monday. Maybe I'll end up doing underdogs. It just depends if there are some that I like. But regardless, hitting that subscribe button will get you everything. And then check out the Dub Club to get you everything that I'm playing sent to your phone for $5 a month if you don't want to watch the YouTube videos. But as for this video, that is all we have. I appreciate everybody for watching, and have a good one.